Yo, what's up guys? My name is Holly and welcome back to Chronicle. This is the home where some of my favourite people and I will get together and tell some awesome stories and hopefully take you guys along for the ride with us. On today's episode we're going to be playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, so if you don't know what that is by now, it's about time you get to know. And we have the perfect place for you to do so right here as we play through the world of Cthulhu, which is a homebrew world of my own creation. If you have missed any installations, you want to go back and get the lore, you want to see the creatures, you want to learn more about our wonderful party members, please do go back and check some of the archive videos which are on our YouTube channel. The link is down below in the description. There's like a YouTube icon, I think, or whatever. Click it, because it's all of our archive videos are over there.
It's in every description down
It's
below.
in every description.
Wherever you're watching.
Wherever you're watching it. There's
also on the YouTube. Like, there's a link to the YouTube if you're watching the archive videos.
I mean, it might be redundant, but at least it's got spirit.
Consistency.
Consistency is key, yeah.
I do just Control-C, Control-V.
Consistency.
That's okay. Make things easy. It also does have Loki's campaign over there in the world of Planthera. He created the world. It's really awesome. Got a lot of awesome characters in there as well. Xander is also running a campaign in the world of Arban. Please do go and... Is that how you say it? Arban?
Yeah.
Or is it just Arban?
Look,
A farmhouse. A barn.
Anyway,
A barn?
they were laughing at me for my pronunciation, had to clarify. Anyway, some of those episodes are up on the YouTube as well, so please do go and check those out. Also, the Instagram, lots of great art over there from Leah and from Xander. Please go and check that out also, because I'm a Chronicle Instagram enjoyer, as we established last session.
Real
And
page.
I think we should personally all be Chronicle Instagram enjoyers.
Dab on the gram.
Dab on the gram.
I will dab on the gram. I will. Okay, anyway. I'll do it in a reel as well. All of the dabs possible. Every single dab we've ever done, I'll put it in a reel and then put it on the Instagram.
Yes.
So please go and enjoy.
I have a 1 minute video of James dabbing when he was like in year 10.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, dude.
It was
the
for
worst
a-
side MSC.
It was for a fitness campaign.
You gotta dab the fat away.
Yeah.
Dab the fat. Okay.
Dab the fat away.
Well,
That's not real, is it?
I need
that video now.
There's a video of me who has like a whole bunch of jumpers shoved in there and then dabbing the fat away.
It was a bad time.
And you pull the jumpers.
High school was a bad time.
Like, what happened?
Quick question, what was your grade on that like?
I don't know. I don't remember.
No, do you remember we didn't do...
We didn't, because you drew up like an animation for it, and then we did a voiceover of Mulan.
Make a fit out of you.
Make a fit out of you. and we got like what, 80 or
No, I
something?
think we got like 95.
What the fuck?
It's because we hit all the criteria because we used all
Dab
the
the Fat Away
instructions.
had to get at least a 95 there.
No.
If you'd like to go and see Dab the Fat Away on the Instagram, let us know.
Be
We'll put
dug
it
out
up there.
somewhere.
Anyway, before we get into the session, here's a quick recap. Wow, here's a quick recap of last session. We had a lot of divine intervention last session as well. So we kicked off with Krugar meeting with a legendary hero known as the Omen Killer, Igrisa. You guys fought, you proved your worth to her.
She's a badass.
She is. She offered to mentor you, so to speak, and to help you to achieve your aspirations, your goals, whatever you'd like to do. Eventually you rejoined the party. You guys had a conversation with Wulfric, which gave you a couple of different leads on where to go in the future and what to do. After that, you guys made your way down to the deepest point of Runalorm, known as the God's Forge. And there, we had June attempting to ascend the platform of this hallowed space without any divine blessing or invitation, inspiration, so to speak, from Mayar, and didn't go so well. The party, mostly Abelard, I think, was pretty upset. We had some tension, an argument. June was actually struck down by Mayar and fell unconscious and had to be carried out of the God's Forge up the ascending lift platform. However, in order to get Mayar to stop completely smiting June to death, Dilbert actually knelt down, did a bit of prayer, connected with Maya, the god, and was revealed a certain doorway in the crystalline chamber of the God's Forge. And the very last point of our session was Dilbert heading around to the doorway, putting his hand against it and actually falling through.
Nice.
But before we get into the session, I'm just going to continue on with a little prologue.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. The prologue. That's the energy.
What's happening in the world today?
What's happening in the world today? We'll see. We'll see. This is the news for everyone.
Ken Brockman here.
And breaking news.
Last time on Cthulhu. High above the heavy mist that obscures the lands below, a group of figures gathers around a dark wood table. The table itself is ornately... The table itself is ornately carved, gilded in gold, with impressions of the lunar cycles of Lusar and Malion running across the lip of the table. Down the legs, the mahogany of the table is carved into constellations with scatterings of stars arranged in intricate patterns that rotate and rearrange themselves with an arcane enchantment according to the position of the stars above. Placed upon the desk's sleek surface, a series of small carved figures, ships and squadrons, are arranged on top of a large map of the continent of Wyladian. Several threads are drawn between the shapes and markers are placed upon the slightly curling yellowed parchment. 8 figures stare down at it intently, all but one of them arguing over strategy and placements, pointing to the marked locations and shifting figures around. Turn my page. The chamber itself is encompassed entirely by floor-to-ceiling windows that reach up towards an ornate vaulted ceiling, which on clearer days reveals far more of the rise and fall of Wyladium's topography. It lays at the zenith of a towering set of spires connected to a central keep below, with intersecting passages and covered walkways suspended above the space. A series of interlocking gears shift on the floor, spinning and gyrating in time with the enormous golden bands that rotate around the exterior of the glass chamber. Gravity lifts and pulls the bands, twirling them in time with the shift of the constellations and mimicking the movement of the Urian star high above Cthulhu across the sky. Upon each of the bands, a set of runes is embossed into the metal, some of them alight with brilliant white glow, whilst others slumber peacefully until evoked. Arcane energy hums around the space, lifting the corners of the parchment with its power. At the table, the figure that had remained silent up until this point pushes away from the rest of the group, still caught in their arguments. A crystalline circlet rests upon their brow. Rows of cerulean and ivory silk swishes about them as they glide across the space. They move towards a large cursor mounted upon a pivoting alidade, the astrolabe whirring and spinning to mark locations and patterns of the constellations. They take a deep breath in, attempting to drown out the noise of the arguing from their advisors. Tension settles across their shoulders. They bow their head and clench their jaw, considering. Lost in thought, they almost miss the question posed to them by a voice from the table. They sigh, and turning around, they walk back towards the table and their advisors, who reiterate the plan, not without more arguing and tension amongst them. Tops of mountains rise behind them just above the dense fog, their snow-capped peaks visible against a slate-grey backdrop. Faintly flickering firelight skims the tops of the groups, ornate robes of light greys, coppers, silvers, plums, and gold. An array of shades and fabrics to belie the wealth and prestige of the individuals within this chamber. The figure draws a deep breath, emerging from the depths of their thoughts that race through their mind. Very well. Hold the unlock at all costs. We may need to move beyond the iron set. But our story for the evening begins thousands of feet below the surface of some of Wyladium's highest mountain peaks that carve through the heart of the continent. Below the sprawling and bustling urban landscape of Runelorn, a group of eccentric, though daring, adventurers have plunged their way downwards to the deepest point of the city, known as the God's Forge. Celebrated as the hold of Maiar, the God's Forge itself has been home to countless legendary creations throughout Cthora's history, from instruments of the gods themselves to the fabled formidable foes that would roam the lands from the time of the divine to the current age, dragons. It is said that all who receive Maiar's blessing through the divine inspiration to create are able to wield the hammer of the god himself, to add to the expansive lineage of creations forged by his hand. Only those who receive these blessings are permitted to wield Maiar's instruments in the God's Forge. For this group of fledgling heroes, their descent into the God's Forge was driven by curiosity to feast their eyes upon this hallowed space, and ended in a schism between them. 3 of its members found themselves ascending the lift after an intense argument within the party, where one of them was smite by Maiar himself for an offence to this sacred space. Abelard and Nardria found themselves with the charge of an unconscious June, who had sparked the tense argument and fallen victim to the rage of the god of fury. The remaining members of the party find themselves surrounded by a circular crystalline chamber of intricately carved reliefs, bearing images of dragons in flight and roaring fires that seem to crackle as the light passes over them from within the space. Crystals of brilliant blues, greens, and purples fill the space, emanating an almost otherworldly bioluminescent glow from where they create the smooth walls and floors of this sacred chamber. As these adventurers pass across the crystalline floor, faint glowing impressions of their footsteps are left in their wake, in kaleidoscopic shades of purples and blues. Great obelisks of crystal rise from below, and crystal stalactites hang down from above, collecting at the corners of the space. At the centre of this circular chamber, 2 large buckets are suspended from a jagged geotic ceiling by heavy iron chains, appearing to pour downwards into casts for forging. A singular platform fills the space, composed of the same crystalline material that lines its walls and floors, shifting in blues, greens, and purples. The platform itself lays suspended over an enormous pit of bubbling magma. A singular set of stairs lead up towards it. From the top of the platform, a small ball of glowing arcane energy appears to bounce off the walls and rotate across the floor, responding to the raised voices from the group inhabiting its interior. Along the back wall, directly across from the anvil, placed in the centre of that platform, one of our chaotic heroes places their hand against the smooth crystal, directly onto a faintly glowing doorway visible only to them. Expecting it to be cool to the touch, the hand begins to heat slightly, the raging fire crackling within them appearing to be mirrored by this crystal wall. All of a sudden, Dilbert, you begin to feel your hand sink through the wall, passing through this doorway. Your eyes close suddenly, waiting for the impact of the floor as you lose your balance. But it doesn't come. You open your eyes. For a moment, Dilbert, you feel completely weightless, floating in a temporal space of brilliant blue light. And then you begin to feel resistance, almost like you're moving through tar. The space around you slowly begins to shift. You watch as the brilliant blue morphs into the same array of shades of blues, purples, and greens that comprise the interior chamber of the God's Forge. It looks for a moment as if you're passing through crystal itself. Eventually, time seems to stretch on. You're not sure if it's a second, a minute. But you begin to stumble out of the crystal wall, just managing to catch yourself in time as your balance returns to you. Looking around you, you see a spherical chamber that rises around you. The interior walls appear like that same jagged, rough, geotic ceiling from within the God's Forge. Only this time you see deep crimson and scarlet crystals that look almost like glass from where the light hits them. There's a singular roaring red fire that sprays light outwards throughout the space, and as you shift, you can see it glint off the sides of these almost glass-like crystals. You find yourself at the edge of a purple crystal bridge that stretches into the center of the room towards a podium of the same material as the God's Forge. Looking down to the left and to the right of this narrow walkway, you see that the bridge itself is suspended above the same rough geode. Enormous crystals in all shades of deep reds rise up towards the bridge in clusters, almost like swords embedded into the rock below. Bioluminescent still and glowing faintly. Smaller crystal clusters stretch down towards you from above, hanging in the space. At the center of the platform, you see what appears to be an iron workbench of sorts. Appearing almost like the top of an anvil, it's suspended as if by magic above this crackling fire. A small rack of ornate utensils and a bucket of material stands to the right of it, waiting and ready. Do you approach?
Yeah.
Sure.
I walk across the bridge.
Okay. Again, your footsteps begin to leave that same glow in the bridge itself. And they seem to echo around the space, just bouncing off the walls. And as you're stepping closer, you can see that the same glow of your footsteps is reflected in these crystals that rise out of the ground. The closer you get to this iron slab, the more you feel the space grow warmer and warmer around you. It almost seems uncomfortable at first, coupled with the fire that's still kind of crackling and raging within, from the connection that you'd forged with Maya. Roll an insight check for me.
Alright.
Excuse me.
Nat 20. Ooh. New dice, everyone. New dice.
Hell yeah. With a nat 20, I'll say that you begin to feel like the faint kind of prickling, almost uncomfortable heat is a challenge. Not necessarily meant to smite you by any means or to deter you, but to challenge you to enter into this space, to do with it what you will. Approaching the worktop, you see resting on the surface of the metal a round coin-like shape. It's probably only about maybe that big. At first it looks like a pale gold metal, though as you study it from different directions, you can see a faint shimmer that lights across its surface. An ornate hammer of the same material rests next to it, on the workbench's surface. The fire crackles beneath it, heating the space further. Dilbert, what would you like to do?
So is the fire heating the anvil directly?
Looks like it. It's just underneath the anvil, and this slab that looks like a top of an anvil, basically.
Yeah.
You can put your hand down on the anvil if you like. If you just kind of touch it, it's hot, like you would expect an anvil's work surface to be after use.
Okay. I suppose I kind of stand there for a minute and continue to take in all the surroundings, and then I suppose I grab the hammer.
Sure. As you put your hand down on this ornate hammer, you watch as some of the carvings on the hilt. It's in that same pale gold metal. And you can see dragons that, as you put your hand across it, appear to take flight up and down the hammer. And you go to exert some strength on it, and you can lift it, and it seems lighter than you'd expect, but still heavy enough to do efficient work.
Is it like perfectly weighted?
Yeah. As it should be. Balanced.
As all things should be.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like test the weight in my hand a little bit,
Sure.
like feeling around, just kind of moving it and stuff, and looking at the dragons and kind of just silently being like, yeah,
Pretty cool.
that's sick. That's sick. And like, I kind of just look around and go like, What do you want? What do I do with this?
You don't get a direct response in so far as it's not like there's no communication to you verbally, but that same crackling heat kind of flares brighter for a second, challenging you to, with a nat 20, to do whatever in this space you would like to do. Create.
Is the coin on the anvil?
Yes.
Is it movable or is it attached to the anvil?
You can try and move it if you want.
Can I pick up the coin
Yeah.
as well?
You pick up the coin. It's hot, but it's not. It won't burn you. It's just there and malleable.
Does it have anything on it? Is it like
No, it just seems like a round.
piece of metal?
Yeah, round piece of metal.
Interesting. I suppose I need to tap
Maybe
into
about
my
the
own-
size of the palm of your hand.
I suppose I need to be somewhat creative in my own respect. Oh wait, that would actually be sick as. Is there? I'm trying to think of something I could do, and I've got ideas, but I feel as though Dilbert doesn't have the technical prowess.
Give it a shot. You can give it a shot.
I suppose Dilbert, holding the hammer in one hand, he puts the coin down and holds his other hand up, like kind of looking at his nails and claws, and kind of like, I suppose sets his hand alight a little bit.
Cool.
Um,
Like a blowtorch.
yeah, right. And then thinks how he could potentially use what's around him, including this metal disc that's there, to create, I suppose, enhanced claws, like a weapon of sorts.
Okay.
That can maybe fit like a glove, on a glove perhaps, or even just on his claws in general.
Sure.
I suppose, because
Roll.
I feel like that ties into using martial arts, I guess.
Cool.
A little
Roll.
bit, not, I suppose, not like Wolverine claws, not out of
I think I know
like,
what you mean.
the nails.
I think I
Yeah.
know what you mean.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
Like that.
Okay. Roll an intelligence check for me.
This is, I'm gonna roll. This is, no,
Hey, you are inspired.
this is big decision, Dilbert
The
dice.
big decision.
Do I have to add inspiration before I roll?
I'll say you should probably say if you're gonna add inspiration to it, but I don't really. But for this, you
For
can.
this? No?
No, you can roll, and if it's a shit roll, if you want to add inspiration to it, you can.
Right, very cool. It's a 9.
A 9. Okay.
Inspiration is what? DA?
Can't be a 17.
Yeah.
Could.
Could.
17.
It could just be a 10.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, or it could be a 10.
It could be a 10. Intelligence.
If it helps you decide, this isn't the check that you're making to actually create it.
Ah, okay. Well, then I'll keep the 9 for that and I'll save my inspiration.
Okay, I'll say looking around the space, you can see that there are a lot of materials that would help you to form something like this. What I'm imagining, I'm assuming just like where the actual claw is, you just want like a cap on the end of your finger, right? Or
Yeah, or even...
there wouldn't be enough material to make a full glove,
yeah.
but you could...
What about, just for sake of helping everyone at the table grasp, I'm sort of thinking... I got a little bit of inspiration from what Con looked up. Sort of like, imagine a plate mail like gauntlet, but only the fingers.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, I'd say there's enough material for you to do that. There are some smaller...
Or even...
I'll say Here's what I'll say. As you look into the bucket of material, you can see that there are a lot of those same offcuts of gems and crystals. The more you look at it, you can see that there are those same small coins that are just kind of littered around the space. You hadn't noticed before.
I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something with those. Or,
Not necessarily. I'm just saying
or
you
is
have
it-
enough material
oh, okay.
to make it. If
I
that's what you
suppose
want.
was that intelligence to look around and see what was available to me?
It was more to test the material,
Oh,
to
okay.
whether or not you knew if you had enough material or not.
I suppose knowing Dilbert kind of understanding what he's capable of, like in terms of creativity and ideas, and wanting to create something that might be out of his scope,
Mm-hmm.
understands that if need be, whatever is created here could potentially be enhanced or perfected at a
Yeah.
later date. So with that in mind, Dilbert goes about attempting what his creative vision is kind of
Okay. Roll a performance
to
check
do.
for me. With
Okay.
advantage.
with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. I'm really
Oh,
scared.
the
the
clink,
jingle,
the
the
clink
jingle.
is so good.
Oh, 17.
Okay, with the 17, I'll say you're looking around the space and you feel like you can see how you want to make something in your mind's eye. And not being experienced with a forge or how to use these materials effectively to create weaponry or any kind of ornate material or ornate creation, you think for a second and you feel a bit disheartened. But you feel that same kind of fire crackling and you watch as some of the instruments begin to glow in a dull red colour. A guide of sorts to help you to forge using this piece of material. You gather up a couple of the other coins just in case you might need them, and with a 17 I'll say that it takes you a little while. Forging is not quick by any means. You require a lot of time, a lot of patience to create something which is unusual for you. You don't strike me, and I'm sure anybody else within the party, as someone who has a lot of patience still, but you feel a sense of calm begin
This
to
is
wash over you.
Definitely more of a test than the heat was for Dilbert.
Yeah.
Damn.
You begin to feel invigorated, and the sense of calm, this desire to create, to make whatever it is that you see in your mind. And you can feel that same fire kind of traveling across your body. It reaches all of the different points, your extremities, and you wield the hammer again. The dragons seem to take flight faster, and over time, I'll say it probably takes you about an hour and a half. You ting, ting, using the materials that are being given to you and the equipment that is being, your hand is being gently guided towards using. You begin to form them to the right size, and eventually I'll say that they're not necessarily intricate and they're not artisanal by any means for your first shot, but they fit perfectly and they're incredibly light.
That's awesome.
And they still have that same kind of iridescent sheen on them.
That's so cool. That's
You
so
think you could probably scratch someone's eyes out with these. Pretty passable job.
So you said there were gemstones around as well.
Yeah.
I kind of having the claws, I guess, and being pretty proud of myself and of my work, and feeling that kind of sense of accomplishment after you've like created something kind of it might not be perfect, but it's yours.
Yeah.
I suppose. And looking at that, I kind of test how it interacts with my already existing abilities. So I set my hand alight and see how the claws interact with that kind of ability.
Sure. Are you hoping that they pass through the claws?
I,
Or just focus on your palm?
I want to see if I want to see what happens first of all, and then I want to try and kind of think of ways in which they could be enhanced to maybe utilize any kind of synergy.
I'll say at first, as you try to set your hand alight, it feels strange kind of having extra material on your claws. It's usually something that you just connect your body to being able to do, but you watch as it kind of eventually comes directly out of the palm, doesn't seem to go up the fingers at all. You think you might need a bit more practice to get it to cover those, or even an enchantment, but it does seem to just kind of be blocked at the tips.
Yeah, but I mean,
by the material. It seems to work, but you think
there's room.
You think there's room to improve it if you are to want the material to conduct heat.
There's a bit of a sense of like a bit of a new goal that has just spawned from watching that interaction occur. Kind of setting off this new kind of foreign feel for creativity and wanting to make something of his own, wanting to find a way to get these two new powers to combine into one.
Cool.
Yeah. And then, satisfied with his work, Dilbert puts the hammer down.
As you rest the hammer down, you see those dragons begin to kind of to fly about the handle again. They don't seem to be settling necessarily. It seems as if your use of the hammer, you gather this is it's approving. And you can see the space around you begin to kind of, that same bioluminescent glow that was kind of dull, a bit muted. Doesn't seem to be a roaring inferno by any means, but it seems to glow brighter. And are you going to turn to walk down the bridge, or?
Can I, do I feel like my work here is done? Like, do I feel like or is there anything else that I'm being prompted to do?
Roll a religion check.
19. Oh my god.
Hell yes!
So good.
With a 19, I'll say you think that was a test, a challenge for you to prove yourself with. You're welcome in the space to create more if you wish, but you think that part of the challenge, you think you succeeded. You feel where you had lit your hand on fire, you feel it begin to warm underneath your skin, almost like you're going to light it on fire again. It begins to travel up your arm, across your chest, down your body. It reaches the soles of your feet, and then back up to the tip of your head, and you feel it change, less of a challenge now, more of a comforting crackle of a bonfire. It kind of just works around you. It's comforting, it's peaceful, and you think you've done a good job. You think that whoever was watching over you, guiding your hand in this sacred space, approved of what you created.
I suppose I start to walk out, but before I suppose exit, is there a clear point of exit?
There is. That same doorway is still glowing. It's a flat wall. There's no door, but that impression of that glowing archway looks like a door is visible to you. But interestingly enough, as you cross the bridge, you can see your footsteps are still lighting up in the space. But next to your footsteps, you can see those smaller dragons that were on the hilt of the handle begin to kind of follow you. Two of them on your side, and you look behind and you can see that they're kind of just following you, embossed into the crystal.
Yo.
True. What they're in the crystal,
Mhm.
like kind of visions in the crystal.
That same
if I
colour
stop,
of the glow.
If I stop, do they stop?
Yeah, they wait for you in the space.
Do it. I suppose I'm like maybe halfway across the bridge now.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
not
say so.
really sure. Yeah. I kind of turn back to the forge and I go like, thanks, thank you for the opportunity to learn, and then I continue walking.
Sure. You don't get a direct answer this time, just that same comforting crackle of fire. The dragons begin to kind of loop around, intersecting each other as they follow your footsteps, crisscrossing across the bridge. You put your hand on the wall of the crystal, and you begin to feel yourself pulled through again, traveling through it like tar. For the rest of you guys in the space, it's been about, I'd say, 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
Do we see?
And then you eventually see Dilbert kind of tumble back out
With the claws.
with the claws.
So what happened?
Where did you go?
Kind of. I suppose I stumble a little bit as I'm coming. Or do I fall out this time?
No, you kind of catch yourself again. It's just disorienting to kind of be pulled through this space where there's no floor beneath you, even though you just stepped forward like there was one.
Yeah.
A9's up against the walls, like pressing against them, trying to figure
Yeah.
out like what the hell is going on.
Where were you? Who? Because didn't some
I'm
people...
still
Oh,
here.
you're still here.
So
I think it's-
A9, Val, Kruger.
Yeah, I
I
think
see.
it's.
You guys just saw Dilbert vanish.
Shot squad.
Yeah,
It was
right.
about...
I have a question, and
Yeah.
you might crucify me. Was the entire space inside that, like the forge, was it Dilbert sized?
No, it was enormous.
It was
Enormous. Yeah.
like even the
The
angle.
hammer, the anvil was not Dilbert size, but the hammer seemed to be perfectly made for Dilbert. So
There you go.
the rest of the
Was I
space
supposed to take the
enormous.
hammer?
Damn it, be nice.
I go back.
Taking this.
Turn around, run back, and donk.
You do that.
I mean, I suppose I probably should have. I didn't want to like steal any like an ancient artifact from a god.
I think you did. I think you made it.
like,
Dilbert, what?
like, did I just like refuse a gift from a god that I was
That
supposed
is-
to have?
I don't know.
I mean, I suppose I have my own gift.
I don't know, man.
But
Did you?
Who knows?
Dilbert, what happened?
When...
Oh my god!
I kind of hold up my hand and show them. Is it still like iridescent? The metal?
Yeah.
I just kind of show A9 and I'm like, or all three of you, I suppose. I'm like, I mean, I made these.
Yes, but you faced. You just.
Oh yeah, I have no idea what that was. I'm still on the pedestal on the thing.
No, you're on the. So the doorway was at the back point in the wall,
okay,
so
okay.
it's not up on the.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea where I went, but I went through the wall and then I was like falling for a little bit and it was kind of weird and then it was like I was swimming but not swimming and then I showed up on the other side and it was like a room like this but it was like a little bit smaller but there was another forge in the middle of it and there was a glowing hammer and then there were dragons on the hammer and then I saw a weird coin and then I turned the coin into these.
You made that yourself?
Yeah, have a look at them.
That's the most
Do-
unbelievable part of it.
Are they like very clearly homemade claws?
I was just about this.
What happened?
It's all good.
Okay.
I was just about to say, could I make like some sort of check with my smithing tool proficiency to like check the craftsmanship and the work and the material that he used?
Sure. I'll say you don't have to roll for that. It looks like it fits Dilbert perfectly, but it's by no means ornate and created by some of the craftsmen that you've seen so far in your time?
I just grab your hand and like.
I'm not like good. It's not. I mean, I know it's not perfect.
I
but
mean,
I made it.
That's actually
I
pretty
kind
good
of
for
like
a first try.
like put my hand into a claw right in Krugar's face.
Yeah. It looks very sharp.
Yeah.
So
Like it could.
you prick your finger, blood begins to kind of well up.
These are dangerous.
Certainly look dangerous.
Like, are they easy enough to take off? I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
They're just like a
they're
cap
like a
that
weapon.
rests on the top at the moment.
So I can like don them as in like taking out a sword almost. Or is it like?
I'd say you might need a bit more
like
modification to it to do that.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're not all connected at the moment. There's no chains or anything in between them.
I kind of hold them and I'm like, I mean, I was in there and I was kind of hoping that I had like either you or A9 to help me out because I had no idea what to do.
I'll just.
You
Can I grab one?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
That's actually not bad. How long?
yeah, I mean,
How
it
did you
felt
make
like
this? How did you make this in 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
You were
I was. It took like hours. I was in there for so long.
No.
No, you were only in there for 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah. They
kinda-
were like scouring the walls. I was jumping
I
up the
kind
ceiling.
of just like kind of looked. Is the glowing orb still kind of chilling?
Yeah, it's rotating around. It bounces off the walls as you guys begin to kind of yell at one
I
another.
kind of
in the
look at the
space.
orb and I'm kind of just like, that's cool.
Can I like make some sort of check to determine what material it's made out of?
Sure, roll a nature check for me.
Can I add my smithing tool expertise because it's like blacksmithing related?
Sure.
See?
Sure,
Fishing,
why not?
fishing.
Yeah, fishing.
17 plus 6. What's that? 23.
You've never seen this material before, but you have read about it. It appears to be electrum.
Ah,
Electrum.
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 How did you?
Is it like bendable, the metal?
It was pretty malleable when you picked it up,
Is
but it's not soft enough to bend now. It kind of flexes with your fingers a little bit, but it doesn't look like if you push down on it that it's going to snap and break.
Is it? Did I suppose I would have tempered it in that whole process,
Yeah.
kind of.
I'll show it to A9 as well.
Like I mean,
It's electrum.
Looking at this,
Like what the hell, man?
looking at
What's
this,
going on?
this thing the weapon that Dilbert's made, does it seem magical in any way, or is it just?
Roll an Arcana check.
I've got one
Please.
missing from my hand now.
Yeah, I'm holding.
Right?
it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
light
showing
my
it to
hand
you
on
anyway.
fire again. Does the fire go up that one finger?
Yeah.
I'm like, I still, it doesn't really like mesh well with my fire hand.
18.
I'll get there though.
With an 18, it doesn't appear to be enchanted. Electrum itself is a tricky material. It's somewhere in between silver and gold, usually. However, there are some bits of electrum that are... It's just a kind of a pure alloy that's naturally occurring. So you can make electrum, but you can also find it naturally. Electrum is really good at taking enchantment and conducting enchantments. It's often used in arcane instruments, weaponry in particular, or jewelry that's meant to hold an enchantment or evoke an effect.
I suppose I'm technically, I mean, I haven't gotten any levels as a cleric yet, so I don't really have any abilities or need for a divine focus yet, I suppose. But I kind of, with the idea that this was the first thing that I created, I'm like, I mean, being in there, it made me really want to improve it. I want to make it perfect. And I was wondering...
We can help you. We can all be forge buddies.
The apps of absolutely not. I snatched the claw back out of Krugar's hand. We can forge together, but we are not forge buddies.
Whoa, man.
Come on. Ain't I gonna have
That's so
Forge acquaintances. At
Whoa.
best.
Dude, what the fuck, man?
Even worse.
Come on, we're like great craftsmen, 8, 9, and I. We could help. We could like.
Duba's just being facetious.
We could make some cool shit.
No, in all seriousness, I would love if you guys would teach me or help me.
I grab A9 and Dilbert and go for like a little like group
Oh.
like forge buddy hug. It's like, where are the forge buddies?
The other boys just hanging A9's leg.
yeah, we hugged. You hug one leg, I hug the other. A9, we're forge buddies.
But yeah.
Cool.
let's-
Okay. I will say, while the rest of you guys are doing this, at the same time, Abelard, up on the chamber that had kind of led you down to the descent into the God's Forge, June is lying unconscious next to you. You begin to pray, you said?
Yeah, I imagine it would just be prayer.
Sure. What do you say?
It's nothing particular. It's more like out of comfort, I suppose. Abelard's been put in a very uncomfortable situation where he's worried he's offended a god by disrupting like a holy site.
Sure.
But like he's worried that he's done something wrong or something, or he's being tested. And he doesn't know. So far, like he's come from a society which is reverential and orderly into Hithora, which is chaotic, and he's just watched someone he thought was a friend desecrate a holy site in like
Yeah.
in such a way that has been extraordinarily confronting in like ways that weren't imaginable to him. Like he's kind of in a state of shock. Like he's doing prayer out of comfort is something that he knows and is something that he feels at least somewhat connected to home with.
Okay. As you begin to pray, now away from another god's hold, you fall into a kind of trance. Focusing on creating a connection with your god, you feel your mind begin to wander, transported across a space as a familiar sense of calm washes over you. As you blink your eyes open, you find yourself feeling disoriented for a moment. You're still kneeling, though now you find yourself staring outwards at what appears to be a vast canopy of trees into an endless expanse of stars littering an inky black sky. They seem to smile upon you, twinkling as they catch your eye. A gentle breeze rustles the trees around you, sending a torrent of leaves floating gently to the floor below in an array of rich purples. Gazing around you, you find shades of vibrant royal violets, washed-out lilacs, and dark, mysterious indigos that decorate the landscape and its foliage. Beyond, a sea of burgundy, plums, and magenta intertwine with rich scarlets and crimson to create a patchwork quilt of leaves. As you kneel before this cliff, you feel the breeze rustle your clothing and prick against the skin of your exposed face. Your mask has been removed. To the left and right of you, the warm wood of tree trunks and their gnarled boughs spiral upwards, enormous roots sprawling outwards below. Nighttime beasts circle above, washed in the same light grey and silver that bathes the shocks of cherry that mark the landscape also. Smiling down upon you, you can see the 2 moons of Cthora gently crossing the vast expanse of inky indigo sky. Everything is still, peaceful. It's broken only by the sound of cicadas chirping and the chatter of small woodland creatures that rustle branches high above and swish through plush grass. Amongst the warm mahogany and golden oaks of these tree trunks, bioluminescent moss, in shades of pink and green, crawls its way up the wood. Scattered around the bases of these trees, small toadstools and flowers seem to wave, inviting you to join them as the moons bear down upon you in this space. Clinging to the golden bark of trees, Shelves of mushrooms radiate golden light into the otherwise dim expanse of trees and bushes, whilst clusters of toadstools blaze in vivid blues and greens. Fireflies buzz around you, passing in wide arcs as they light up the space in an orange and yellow glow. It's quiet, comforting. You begin to recognize this space as the one that you had first met your god in shortly after you were transported to this plane. Purple and red leaves flutter to the ground again in a torrent of wind. You begin to feel as if a presence has joined you, staring out at this cliff face. You hear a gentle sigh next to you, the larger moon in the sky seeming to magnify its light. Turning your head, you're met with the now familiar sight of your god in his mortal presenting form, sat cross-legged next to you. He radiates a soft, white glow, the creatures and trees around you seeming to stand at attention in his presence. Luron's figure is again composed of the swirling cosmos, ribbons of red stardust curling around their exposed forearms, before disappearing behind the sleeves of a crisp white linen shirt. Shooting stars drift across their cheekbones, whilst meteors zing downwards from their jawline all the way to their fingertips. Millions of stars blaze brightly and fade in and out as they dance across their skin, filled with an unfathomable depth of inky blue and indigo, covered by an iridescent sheen that shifts with the passage of the moon. You recognize that as well, as being the Somnos. Their face drops down, turning towards you now with a brilliant smile, particles of white sand seeming to float down around them, an iridescent sheen creating rainbows and distorting light in the space around him where it scatters across. Abelard, how are you? I could sense your distress.
It's like, Abelard kind of begins it. It's like, it's so peaceful. I've missed quiet.
Yes, well, I thought, given the intensity of your travels and your companions, I thought perhaps a bit of quiet, a bit of peace would do us both well.
I struggle enough with 6 of them, and I could not imagine dealing with a whole plane and the very sky itself.
Well, it becomes overwhelming sometimes, but I prefer to think and exist more in the joy of knowing that sending prayers to me, knowing that I'm watching over them, brings comfort to people, happiness, and in turn, though many think that gods don't feel it, that brings me a great sense of joy as well.
It's weird. I feel out of place on this plane. Not home. I miss the sand. I miss the way the world shift. I miss my friends. I missed the cohesion of being in an army. It feels weird. It feels like things are wrong. It isn't home, but it's also wondrous in its own right. I'm not used to seeing this many trees as there are in this place, or the wonders that was the God's Forge. It's things we don't have, and it is wondrous to see them, but it is also not home.
Well, there is much to see in Cathora. We have created it just so. I find that there is always somewhere to look, and you will find something different, no matter where you cast your eyes. In Larothia, things can be more muted. As much as I love our plane and I miss it greatly whenever I'm away, I can't help but feel as if the life that we have created here in the material plane is far more expansive. It feels far more intricate, complex. There are so many interconnecting parts, and when you create a plane like Lorothia, sometimes I feel shame that it is not as peaceful as this place could be. I will say that, as a god, I'm not supposed to play favorites amongst my followers, but I have found a great joy in helping you, Abelard, and I will say that the plane itself misses you too.
I am glad to know that I am missed, and I feel pleasure knowing that that I bring some joy, even if I sometimes feel like a downer in my current group. I feel like I am responsible for them, and I want the best, but it is hard to get through to them. Sometimes I come from such a different place. I can feel, as you describe it, Kasora and the material plane is vibrant in the ways that Lorothia is not. You can feel the ways that the divine influences interconnect and the different spheres of power. I am used to just feeling Lorothia and the power that comes from there, but here you can feel so much in the ways that magic works and the ways that you can feel all the different influences on the world.
It's a melting pot of different magics, different influences, different morals. A god is only ever given power through faith, through belief and worship, through trust. We created this world for all of you. We rose great mountains, we tunneled great depths, we nurtured vibrant, lush jungles, teeming with life and barren, harsh deserts with hardy creatures. All for all of you. For some, it is enough to hear the stories of our power, to get them to look around and know that, though not everyone is gifted the same powers as I have given to you, we were always watching over them. Our power is always around them. It's in the trees and the rolling green hills, in their apple orchards and their rippling lakes. They listen to these stories and they know. They know we watch over them. Though as Anitas, of course, would say that we cannot have power through faith without skepticism also. For others, they have to truly see evidence of our power and presence to believe that we are with them. That we have shown them that we can watch over them, that we do watch over them. Some of the mortals here have their own theories for the push and the pull of an ocean tide, or for the great dragons that soar across the sky. You're right, this plane is not like Lorothia. I feel it is vast, different, an ocean to dive into, to explore. You've seen my domain from the moment that you were born into this existence. You see my power and you know that the gods watch over you. We listen, we try to help you, as much as we can. It's difficult, but it is rewarding. But for others that don't see this power, they turn to smaller magic. The ones of the mortal realm. They rationalize the rise of these mountains through the clashing of Cathora's crust deep beneath the surface. And they forget that the gods were the ones that created the crust, who formed those plates, who tempered the world that you now walk across. It does not make sense for all of them to believe that, though. To believe in gods. Though I do not mean to be presumptuous, I noticed that you had an argument of sorts with your companion June, so to speak.
I only regret that I had to raise my temper in such a sacred site. I hope I did not offend my I try my best. I do not want to be. I do not.
Well, any offense against Maiar, any offense that Maiar took from your raised voices, if he were to do anything to you, would be an offense to me. So I think you are in good stead. Not to worry. I will smooth things over as much as I can, though I did sense a darker power at play. That was interesting. Unlike Maiar and Maiar's fury. And it was unlike Chivoth's influence as well. It felt mysterious. It felt miserable.
Was that the ones that was knocked Juna unconscious, or was that Maiar?
No, that was Maiar. What you have to understand, Abelard, is that gods are imperfect creatures. Though we try, we model mortals off ourselves. All of us have flaws, and Maiar happens to be a rather temperamental fellow. God of fury and all that.
I could imagine so. It seemed. I was not expecting it to go so far, but
Oh,
again,
I fully believe that Maiar was intending to murder, smite your companion into non-existence.
I could sense that as well. I'm glad that Dilbert appeared to have found a god. Which sounds weird to say, but arguably it makes sense that the god of dragons is also going to be his.
Well, I'm afraid I don't know too much about your friend Dilbert, but I sensed that Maiar came out of that situation happier than I had expected when you had first called for me.
Yes, it was unfortunately messy. I did not expect people to become so stubborn that they refuse to admit mistake. This is interesting, but then again, there is some elements into that I respect, I guess.
Well, steadfast belief in one's own morals, one's own trajectory in life, can be a rather fascinating thing. Perhaps your friend June is of this same ilk that turns to smaller magics, does not believe in the power of the gods unless they see it.
Possibly, but
You do not sound convinced.
I'm not sure if it is whether or not he sees it or not, because I mean he's seen us regularly. I have healed him multiple times with the gifts you have given. As far as I am aware, that is as good as anything in terms of evidence.
What do you think it is then?
I don't know. I think it might just be being contrarian, if that is the right word. It's just a desire to be different.
Perhaps.
I could not imagine. I don't know what they went through in their life that could have done this. I don't know if they've had something traumatic that might set them on this path.
Well,
I'm just not sure if I can take them into any holy sites again. Especially if I wish to enjoy them myself. It is truly a wondrous place to be. It's just different to what I
there
know.
are plenty of incredible holds for God's power within Cathora. I think that you should find some great joy in travelling to them. They can provide inspiration in unique ways.
I must say, it is interesting to see. Whilst I am here, it might be a worthwhile thing to learn what I can and see what I can bring back home.
Yes, I would greatly appreciate it. I would be interested to see with whatever you would come up with.
Is this plains? I'm looking up at like the two moons. I'm just like, because we don't like, despite Urim being like the lord, like the moon lord and all that, we don't have any moons or anything right there. It's just a plain with stars.
You can see Malyon faintly in the distance. It's further. It appears smaller because it's further away from Cathora itself, but it is visible from Lorothia to some degree.
I suppose looking up at like the moons and stuff. It's weird. In some ways, I am further away from your powers than ever, but in other ways, it is closer as well. The ways the domains cross over is fascinating.
Well, the planar structure of Cathora is immensely intricate, and there are many different groups of people that study them, scholars, who are attempting to work out the exact branching effect. I personally think that, as I said before, a god is only given our power through those that follow us, worship us, who want us to be divine. I created this world with my love, and together we rose these great mountains, we planted all of these trees, grass, these fields. We created this material plane that these mortals inhabit. And my power is all around you. Whenever the sun sets and the moon rises in the sky, that is when my power is strongest, the material plane. But it also lies in wait in everything that I have created. I'm never very far, Abelard.
In some ways, even though I am severed from one concept of dreams, I'm very connected to other ones. I aspire to serve and be useful. I aspire to learn. I aspire to see what I can to improve myself and live honorably as I have been taught.
I think you've been doing a pretty good job so far.
Thank you, my lord.
Of course. And don't tell anybody else I said this, but my lord, when we're in this space together, just call me Luna.
Of course you are.
Simp.
Though we
Sorry.
Though we do not allow dreams to overcome our unconscious minds, it does not mean that our hearts do not stray from us for a time. That we do not hope for things. You and I, we are the same. Though I am the god of dreams, I do not dream in my unconscious state either. Our minds may still wander in dreams when we wake. For me, I find myself dreaming during Cathora's sunlit hours. I dream of my love and spending far more time with her than the mere moments when the realm is at its quietest, when the skies are painted with beautiful kaleidoscopes of colours. I hope that one day there will not be a threat or of danger to my people, to the world that we have created together. I want, and I hope, so I dream. Some mortals dream of slaying great beasts, of travelling to the ends of the world, acquiring riches and jewels. Others dream of escaping their confines, dismantling systems, or understanding the plane that they find themselves on. They all dream of their future, at least once in their lives, of the direction that they must take. You mentioned that you want to learn, to study the planes?
It would be a pleasure. I've spent my entire life focusing on the preservation of life, but I have not had time to pursue other matters. I have put all of my effort in being the best servant of my people I can. But
Tell me, Abelard, what is it that you dream of? When you close your eyes and allow your heart to wander, where does it go?
I dream of seeing as much as I can before I pass. I wish to see what I can. I wish to meet people and make peace where possible. I wish to help who I can.
Of course, I think that's a noble dream, and one that I would like to help you achieve however I can. I understand that the structure of Larothia is that you are given a specific duty, and you must follow that duty at all costs. But you're not on Larothia, are you? You're in the material plane. Perhaps, though duty is important, perhaps your duty has shifted. Perhaps it is to do all of those things that you dream of. To help bring peace, to understand the depths of these oceans that you find yourself in, to explore these uncharted territories. Maybe it's not so bad for our hearts to wander from time to time, and to be selfish in other aspects. I'm not saying that you should give up on attempting to return to Larothia if that is what your heart desires. But at the end of the day, Abelard, I don't think you're like everyone else on Larothia. I think you have different dreams, wants, desires, and that's not a bad thing. It only means that perhaps the duty wasn't right for you, where you were.
Maybe one day when we stop fighting for our survival, all on our planes can be free to follow as they wish.
I would hope for nothing more.
But for now, we must defend ourselves from that which lies beyond us.
Well, we do what we can, and though there is always a constant threat, the material plane seems a bit more volatile. Seems to be that there are more threats to be chased, to be explored, examined, to be understood. And I would gladly like to help you however I can.
Thank you, my lord. Luron. Seems to take some work.
It's okay, just don't address me like, well, you know what? As far as things go, if anybody has any argument about you calling me Luron, well, I am a god, so I would like to see them try.
That's cool.
Thank you, my lord.
Come on, man, you're on a first name basis now.
He smiles and leans back on his hands. You can hear the cicadas kind of chirp in a crescendo and kind of fall back down. I don't think that, so correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Abelard would have ever assumed to be set next to Luron, just, chatting away under the moon, looking out to an expanse, a patchwork quilt of purples and reds. It's nice, it's peaceful. It's unexpected, but it's comforting, in a way. Well, I do believe I sense your companions stirring below. Is there anything else that you'd like me to help you with, Abelard? I, of course, am still examining the transportation of you across planes. It's not easy for one to exert their power or magic in my domain.
Sorry. New dice.
must say, it feels right now the material plane probably needs me more than Dorothea does. It feels on the edge of something, although I do not know what that edge is.
I would agree. There seems to be a stirring in the material plane. Darker forces seem to be stretching out from across continents, even from across planes, to try and grasp a hold of Kathora's plane itself.
With the conflict that is going on, it's only breeding ground for chaos.
It certainly seems it.
It feels out of balance, and I'm not sure what it is lacking.
Do you wish to bring balance?
I think that they could benefit from it.
I think they could too, and you know, Asian would be quite proud of you to hear that.
I wonder if they have any holy places nearby. It would be interesting
Asian?
to visit.
Asian? Or
Any other gods? Maybe this time I might not bring June along. I would rather not cause any more offense.
well, they do have a rather fascinating shrine to me in Dosa.
I was planning on going there eventually.
I will say, there is also a strong presence of Kavan in the Glass Shore. Were you to go to the Kingdom of Acheron, perhaps you might seek it out.
I mean, the Glass Shore sounds quite interesting just to see normally.
It's a beautiful place. They make incredibly interesting weaponry there. Unlike any I've seen across any of the other continents in this plane.
I suppose kind of just like finishing it off.
Mhm.
I will be just like, thank you, Lauren, for everything.
Of course.
The advice you have given.
Well, I know it is difficult to manage tension within a group of people, but I think you're doing a good job. Don't worry so much about whether or not you make the right decision all the time. In fact, I myself have made mistakes. But I believe that there is often no mistake too great for us to rectify in time. And the most important part is to try. So, I think you're already doing a pretty good job at that. Have patience. I can't promise that your companion June will come around anytime soon, but perhaps patience will be your greatest ally.
Well, I suppose hopefully I live long enough to be patient. It feels constantly
Well,
dangerous here.
If the god of death were to try and take you, Abelard, I might have something to say about it.
Abelard's immortal.
I'm gonna beat the ass of the god that takes your life, fam.
Not my sugar child.
That is
my favorite child.
reassuring at least.
Well, I don't believe it's your time to go yet. I think you still have so many more of those things that we discussed to discover and explore. So, as nice as this peace and quiet has been for me, and I'm sure you, unfortunately, I am afraid my time has come to an end.
Thank you.
Of course, if you need me, you know how to reach me.
Just kind of like, Ella kind of nods
You nod?
gratefully.
And then you feel your eyes begin to close as if lulled to sleep. And when you open them again, you're back in that same chamber. But you can feel that same comforting kind of breeze just wash over you. It feels almost like there's a wind that's kind of passed as you're sitting in this this chamber, waiting for everybody to join you. At this time, however,
As I kind of come back, there is one little thing I want to do. With the mention of a darker power play, I wish to cast Detect Evil and Good around me.
sure.
Yo.
Remind me what it does.
For the duration, so for 10 minutes, if there is an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you, as well as where the creature is located. Similarly, if there is a place or object within 30 feet of you that has been magically consecrated or desecrated. The spell can penetrate most barriers, but it is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt.
I'll say that you don't sense any presence other than the one that you'd already triggered in Nadria as being Fey. You do sense that a knife given to June does appear to have an undead presence tied to it.
The knife? Like the knife that was... Like the fancy knife? The one that tracks?
Interesting.
Seems so. But you don't
This is a knife.
register. That's not a knife, this is a knife.
That was really good. God damn.
You don't sense any presence other than that. I would say it's closer to being a sense of desecration to that specific item, but it seems undead.
Undead / desecrated.
Okay, at this time, thank you all for your patience. I'm going to move across to June.
I'm scared. I'm scared of everything related to dream sequences.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
I am terrified.
Don't be scared.
Come here, baby.
You start frothing at the mouth.
baby.
Whoever wrote on the Dilbert page Dilbert Simpson and then
I was
wrote
more concerned with the race.
Small.
Anyway, we're gonna move across to June.
Was it you?
Who do you think it was?
It was really funny.
June, as you feel your vision kind of vignette into darkness on top of that platform, you feel yourself sinking forward. As you fall off the platform, you feel like you're falling in your unconscious as well. And after a moment, you feel yourself impact on cold stone. Do you open your eyes?
Yeah, if I can, I will.
You open your eyes and you find yourself in a familiar-looking palace. This time, the marble beneath you is cool and smooth to the touch.
Am I dirty at all?
You don't appear to be dirty.
Dirty
You actually
boy.
appear to be incredibly clean. There are no tears or anything in the clothes that you wear. They seem almost new. There are those same fountains that line the strip of this bridge. The space is eerily quiet. Where before the fountains had been bubbling gently, spilling forth from a ram's head. They don't seem to be working anymore. You turn and look, and you can see that the water still appears to be flowing. But it's soundless, almost like a liminal fluid.
Honestly, I just want to take a second to lie down. I just want to give myself 30 seconds to a minute of just
Okay.
lying down.
You lie down and you kind of just stare at the vaulted ceiling above you. Roll a perception check for me.
I believe that's 19. Yeah.
With the 19, you can see above there appears to be reliefs. Not reliefs. What's the oh my god, it's evading me. The word for being like painted on the ceiling.
Yeah, like
Mural? I don't know.
I
One of those
understand
things,
what
like
you
if
mean.
Roof
you-
painting.
It genuinely might be that. That's the sad thing.
It's
that
like
some of those words
it's
are
a
just
mural
like
on the ceiling. I
the
don't know.
thing.
Roof
I
painting.
don't know what it is. Anyway,
Let's go with roof.
like what they have at the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
It's painted across this vaulted ceiling, and it seems to denote a folklore tale that you think you might have heard or can connect the dots with briefly. The thing that really triggers that kind of deep knowledge in the back of your mind of what this might be is the image of a woman with her hands cut off at both wrists. You lie down, stare at the ceiling, kind of tracking with your eyes the intricate patterns, the sorrow and the grief on her face, the utter delight and joy on another's.
Well, my head hurts mostly. I'll get up.
Sure.
I'll make my way down the same path that I made before, presuming there's going to be something down that way, and this is something, and something's happening.
Sure.
Presume I'm meant to go this way.
Yeah. As you make your way down that path, you look down at the marble beneath you. And you can see that the veins within the marble appear to be a blood red in colour. You make your way to that same door.
Can I touch them with my
Yeah.
hand? Are they literally...
No.
Okay.
They just appears... As you get closer with the 19, I'll say that you can see that they do appear to move faintly, like a current,
Yeah, yeah.
but nothing comes away on your hands.
That's cool.
It seems to be within the actual stone itself.
I'll push open the doors.
Sure. You find yourself in that same space, that banquet table, no longer filled. The space seems again to be eerily quiet. There are floor-to-ceiling windows on your left-hand side, a chandelier of bone that dangles from above. There's no food set out on the table, but you do notice that the doors on the other side appear to be propped ajar. And you can hear the faint sound. For the 19, I'll say you can hear a faint sound of what appears to be shuffling or squeaking.
Does June understand that it's a dream sequence? That it's not...
I'll say probably. I mean, you don't know whether you're dreaming or if you've been called to another plane or another sense of existence by another entity. But you do gather that this is... You're unconscious when you're having this.
Minorly frustrated. Sort of just a real angsty walk towards the other set of doors where...
Sure.
And then I will then pull open them as well.
Sure. You pull open the doors and they're heavy. They're really, really heavy. Roll a strength check for me.
17.
Okay. With a 17, you struggle for a little bit. You can feel the strain of your muscles as you pull. You can feel it in your chest as you're kind of pulling them open. Eventually, they kind of across the marble. And you find yourself in a hexagonal chamber. Floor to ceiling windows on all of its sides, save for this one that you'd entered through. In the center, you can see what appears to be a pool of some kind. It's too hard to see over the lip of at the moment, but it seems to be kind of embedded into the floor in that same marble. At the very back of that pool, you can see a figure that appears to be sat in a chair, strapped completely to the chair with chains. They appear to just be gazing listlessly towards you, and you can see a dwarven individual. Red beard. Hair closely cropped on the sides, longer at the back. They appear to be heavily scarred. Both of their hands cut off. Blood still kind of trickling. Seems to have happened a while ago. You can see before them, just resting on the edge of the pool, crossed like this. The hands, presumably cut from the wrists of the figure. The middle finger kind of just grazing the top of the liquid.
Gina raise an eyebrow at the frankly bizarre symbolism of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Progress up to the dwarf, and with a foot sort of just... Does the dwarf look alive?
Roll a medicine check for me.
Well, I'm going to nudge it with my foot. And that's a 17 again.
Okay. With a 17, you prod the figure and it just kind of seems to...
Oh. Hello?
Kind of head tilts down towards you, kind of snap into place, looks at you, eyes kind of glazed over, glassy.
Oh. Hello.
Hello.
I get it. Do you want your hands? And I will pick up the hands and sort of like try and prop them against the stumpy wrists.
Okay.
Is this something?
As you go to pick up the hands, you watch as they kind of flop forward in your grip, moving further down into the pool.
Oh.
As you reach the pool, you can see that the liquid itself is pitch black.
Am I meant to go in, looking at both the figures?
Both the figures?
Well, there's a chained figure.
The dwarf is the chained
The
figure.
dwarf is the chained figure.
Chained
okay.
to a chair.
Okay. Is this a thing? I sort of lean a bit further over to
Kind of-
gauge reaction.
Its neck snaps in an odd angle, kind of moves its eyes towards you again.
Is that a yes? I dip a toe in,
Okay.
looking at the dwarf.
Oh no.
And if it pulls, I'll go with.
Okay. As you dip your foot in, it reaches the bottom. The liquid itself is cool. You raise your foot up, and you watch as the liquid that you thought was pitch black appears to streak red down your leg.
Is this good? Is this bad? Hello?
As you're waiting at the precipice of this pool, you watch as ripples begin to form across the surface. And you can see a shape moving beneath the surface. It appears to rise up towards you.
I'll take my toe out if I can.
You take your toe out. The figure still seems to rise. At first, actually, I'll get you to roll a perception check for me.
18.
With an 18, at first you think the shape might be human. But the longer you watch, the closer it gets to the surface. You can see that the shape itself is enormous. The head itself appears to be elongated, stretched at certain points.
A horse.
As it rises up, you see first the glint of bone. It emerges further, and you can see what appears to be a muzzle of a flayed beast The muscles visible. No skin. But that same kind of glint of bone stretching down to canines about that big.
Oh.
It begins to rise. You can see shape almost lupine. The head kind of sharply curved at the back. The entirety of its muscles visible, striated and pulling, stretching as it moves both of its legs up out of the pool. It begins to bleed across the chest, dripping down.
I don't understand my dreams.
The eyes appear to be a listless kind of black and white colour.
Do you speak? Hello?
It begins to rise up, the blood kind of clinging to the side and sloughing off the side.
Yeah.
I go to toothless it.
It's still rising out of the ground. Its head begins to bear down above you.
Like, hand outstretched.
You hold your hand out.
Yeah.
As you go to reach your hand out, you wait for a second. The beast snarling. Completely just skinless, odd, strange.
Yeah, dude.
It needed to
And
happen.
after a moment, it begins to drop its head towards you.
Oh. This feels good.
And all of a sudden, you watch as this massive maw opens and just snaps across you. Feel your bones kind of click into place, push through your skin as it kind of bites down towards you. And then as soon as that impact, that life kind of leaves you through your throat. We're going to take a break.
Oh, yo!
Yay!
What a
She's
change!
dead.
Why?
Ash went, ew.
You have cool like king king, then you have like picnic date, then you have just like I'm gonna eat ya.
I can't believe I didn't take the hammer. What a fucking
That's
No,
idiot.
okay.
I
What a
think
dumber.
No.
Bit of a shorter session for that first bit, but I think we reached a good spot to break.
We're in.
I hope you guys enjoyed that first little instance of tonight's session. Thank you very much for watching. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys
that
did
was
too.
sick, dude.
We will see you guys, everybody who's on Twitch, in just a little bit. But for everybody on YouTube, we'll see you in the next part. Please don't forget to check out the links below to our YouTube, where you can see all of our archive videos if you want more cool, fun stuff.
Send us your money.
Yeah, send us your money. This is a page, please.
Money.
Anyway, we will catch you guys in the next little bit. Much love to you all. It's always a pleasure and never a chore to DM for you. We will see you in the next little bit. Goodbye for now.
Bye.